12 strange facts about Svalbard, the darkest place on Earth. Svalbard has long attracted attention not only for its majestic and pristine natural landscapes, but also due to its incredibly important strategic location. This archipelago is situated near the Arctic region in Russia, making Svalbard a hotspot in the context of global competition for control over Arctic resources, as well as a key position for military operations. Despite being considered a demilitarized zone under the Svalbard Treaty of 1920, numerous rumors and conspiracy theories about major powers like NATO using Svalbard for covert military activities have made it more mysterious than ever. In today's video, we will explore this tiny land in Norway. Number 12. A place where humans cannot die. This sounds strange, doesn't it? But few may know that this is not due to strict laws prohibiting death or anything similar, but rather the harsh environmental conditions in Svalbard. The permafrost that covers most of Svalbard creates an environment where dead human bodies cannot decompose naturally as they would elsewhere. This ice acts like a gigantic freezer, preserving the bodies of the deceased almost intact for hundreds of years. A notable example is from the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, where some corpses of those who died from the outbreak buried in Svalbard are still perfectly preserved to today. This fact is not only shocking but also raises concerns about the potential re-emergence of ancient diseases like the Spanish flu posing a threat to global health. Scientific studies have shown that bacteria and viruses can survive in permafrost conditions, and their ability to be revived as the ice melts is very real. A recent example occurred in 2016 when an anthrax outbreak emerged in a remote part of Siberia after a reindeer carcass that had been frozen for decades in permafrost was discovered. This incident raised concerns that ancient pathogens could become a serious threat as climate change causes permafrost to melt. Additionally, Svalbard faces issues with facilities related to burial and cremation. Due to its remote location and harsh conditions, there are no standard cemeteries or cremation facilities here. This complicates burial and makes it unsustainable. In fact, the only cemetery in Longyearbyen, the largest town in Svalbard, has not accepted new bodies since the 1950s. This means that residents or visitors who pass away here must be returned to the mainland of Norway for burial or end-of-life care. For those with terminal illnesses or nearing death, local authorities recommend that they move to the mainland, where they can receive proper medical care and burial. While there are no laws explicitly prohibiting death in Svalbard, for practical reasons, authorities encourage people to die elsewhere to avoid environmental and public health complications. Thus, living in Svalbard is a unique experience, but remember not to try to die there, otherwise they will literally send you home. Number 11. The haunted village Pyramiden. Pyramiden, a Russian ghost town on the Svalbard archipelago, holds a story filled with mystery and eeriness. Once a bustling coal mining settlement, it was home to thousands of workers and their families. Established in the early 20th century, Pyramiden quickly became a symbol of Russian industrial presence in the Arctic. Even during its most prosperous years, the town had a theater, library, school, and even an indoor swimming pool, quite rare in the harsh Arctic. However, everything changed abruptly in 1998 when coal mining operations ceased entirely. Pyramiden was abandoned, and the town has remained frozen since then. Strangely, when the town was left behind, residents did not take much with them. Buildings, facilities, and even personal belongings are still intact, as if the residents left in a hurry without a chance to tidy up. You can find open books on study desks, chairs neatly arranged in the school, and household items still in place in the apartments. This peculiar freezing has made Pyramiden one of the most enigmatic destinations in Svalbard. Visitors to this town not only experience the Arctic chill but also feel the eerie atmosphere of the abandoned space, as if time has stopped. Walking through the silent streets, you may easily feel like you are trapped in a forgotten town where the ghosts of the past still linger. Many even believe that Pyramiden is haunted by the spirits of its former residents. There are stories from visitors who toured the town at night, recounting that they sensed someone's presence, despite not seeing a soul around. Strange sounds like footsteps echoing from afar, creaking windows, or whispers in the wind add to the mysterious ambience. Some have even reported feeling watched throughout their stay, even though the town is clearly completely deserted. Number 10. Polar bears are the most fearsome creatures. Polar bears are among the most dangerous and terrifying creatures in Svalbard, and it is no coincidence that these animals are considered apex predators of the Arctic. With their massive bodies weighing up to 600 kg and standing nearly 3 meters tall when upright, polar bears have no natural enemies and truly deserve their title as the region's champion predator. Their strength, agility, and ability to survive in harsh Arctic conditions make them incredibly fearsome, especially when hungry. In Svalbard, the number of polar bears exceeds that of humans, with over 3,000 bears living in the area. This means that encounters with polar bears are not uncommon, and without precautions, the risk of attacks is very high. Some tourists and explorers have experienced terrifying encounters with these bears, and sometimes these encounters have ended in tragedy. In 2020, a tragic incident occurred at a campsite near Longyearbyen, Svalbard's largest town, when a tourist was attacked by a polar bear right in their tent. This is not the only case, but it serves as a reminder of the actual danger posed by these creatures. Hungry or feeling threatened, polar bears can become extremely aggressive. They possess sharp claws and teeth capable of tearing prey apart in seconds. What is particularly frightening is that polar bears can run faster than humans on snow and ice, reaching speeds of up to 40 km/h. Not only are they fast, but they are also intelligent hunters, capable of smelling food from a distance and stealthily stalking their prey without making a sound. Once they have set their sights on a target, escaping their sight is incredibly difficult, if not impossible. Due to the danger posed by polar bears, preparing defensive weapons when leaving settlements in Svalbard is mandatory. Everyone, from residents to tourists, must carry rifles or flares in case of a bear attack. Before venturing far from populated areas, you must also attend a safety training course to learn how to respond in an encounter with a bear. This is not only to protect you but also to conserve polar bears, which is strictly protected under Norwegian law. Shooting a bear is only permitted in cases of urgent self-defense. However, it is not always possible to avoid confrontations. There are stories of terrifying chases between humans and polar bears, where victims have only seconds to escape the giant bear's claws. Some have been fortunate enough to escape thanks to their agility and timely assistance from others, but not everyone has been so lucky. Number 9. NATO's top-secret underground bunkers. Rumors have circulated that NATO has built top-secret bunkers beneath the icy layers of Svalbard. This is believed to be for the purpose of monitoring Russian military activities and protecting important Western strategic assets. Svalbard's geographical location, just a short distance from the Russian border, makes it a perfect point for monitoring space and tracking military activities in the Arctic. If they exist, these bunkers would allow NATO to control part of the Arctic region and use them as defense bases or strategic gathering points. One reason these rumors are intriguing and difficult to verify is the harsh terrain and climate of Svalbard. With permafrost covering most of the archipelago, accessing and discovering what lies deep underground is extremely challenging. Furthermore, if there are underground facilities, they might be designed to withstand severe weather conditions and maintain absolute secrecy for years. Some military theories even suggest that Svalbard could be used to monitor Russia's submarine activities, as the Arctic is frequently the site of naval exercises and trials by the Russian military. Monitoring and gathering intelligence from this area is incredibly important in the context of increasing global military competition. Many believe that the bunkers in Svalbard could be equipped with modern listening devices, long-range radar, and advanced technological systems to monitor deep-sea activities. Despite these conspiracy theories existing for many years, there is no specific evidence to prove the existence of underground military bases in Svalbard. The Norwegian government, which is responsible for managing the archipelago, has always asserted that Svalbard remains true to the spirit of the Svalbard Treaty, which prohibits all military activity on this territory. Other nations that signed this agreement, including Russia, would also consider military deployment on the island a serious violation of international terms. Number 8. Loss of awareness of time. If you've ever thought that living in a day longer than 24 hours is a challenge, imagine living for 4 months without sunlight. In Svalbard, this is not a fantasy but a reality, as the area experiences the phenomenon known as the polar night, lasting from October to February. During this time, the sun does not rise, and Svalbard is completely engulfed in darkness. The scariest part is not just the lack of sunlight, but the feeling that time seems to vanish. In perpetual darkness, people can easily lose the ability to recognize the passage of time. A day here can stretch infinitely, without a clear distinction between day and night. This scenario can create a strange, sometimes oppressive and mysterious feeling, making everything seem more desolate and colder than ever. Some long-time residents have shared that they often feel time disappearing in the dark. A day can pass without anyone realizing it has truly begun or ended. The lack of natural light disrupts the body's circadian rhythms, especially when there is no change in light to signal the transition between day and night. Instead, people must rely on clocks and calendars to keep track of time, but the absence of light still clouds the mind. The polar night not only affects the perception of time but can also lead to mental health issues. Many experience depression, insomnia, and heightened feelings of loneliness when facing months without sunlight. The isolation brought on by the darkness and the harsh cold of the Arctic intensifies feelings of suffocation. Although residents in Svalbard have developed strategies to cope, such as organizing community activities or using special lighting to substitute for sunlight, newcomers still find it challenging to adapt. One common measure that Svalbard residents use is artificial sunlight lamps, light therapy lamps. These lamps simulate sunlight and are widely used to improve mood and regulate the body's circadian rhythms. For many, this is a lifeline that helps them get through the dark months. However, even with preventive measures, the psychological effects of the polar night are unavoidable, especially for those unaccustomed to it. One notable story is about a tourist visiting Svalbard for the first time during the polar night. A traveler shared that when he stepped outside for the first time at 3 p.m., he felt as if it were dead of night. I thought it was midnight, but when I looked at my watch, it was just mid-afternoon. I was completely disoriented and felt as if I had been tricked by time itself, he said. The combination of bone-chilling cold, white snow cover, and endless darkness creates a scene reminiscent of a science fiction film, where all concepts of space and time are blurred. Number 7. Prohibited to bring guns into supermarkets. In Svalbard, there's a unique law that will surely surprise you. Not only is gun ownership not prohibited, but residents are encouraged to carry guns when outside of residential areas. But hold on, don't imagine a Wild West scene with shootouts on the streets. The reason isn't to defend against crime or bandits, but to deal with polar bears. While guns are necessary when going outside, when you return to residential areas or want to shop in supermarkets, your gun must be left in secure lockers outside. You cannot bring guns into supermarkets or other public places. There are also regulations regarding safe gun storage at home to ensure that no accidents occur within the community. Anyone violating these regulations may face severe penalties, such as fines or even expulsion from Svalbard. The presence of polar bears makes living in Svalbard an adventure every day. Not because bears attack frequently, but just an accidental encounter with this creature can become very dangerous. In addition to carrying guns, visitors and residents are also advised to bring flares or loud noise-making devices to scare off bears if they happen to encounter them. Number 6. Cats are prohibited. If you are a cat lover, prepare yourself because Svalbard is definitely not the place for you. Yes, in this remote land, cats have been completely banned since the 1920s. It may sound like a quirky law, right? But in fact, this ban has a clear reason related to protecting the fragile Arctic ecosystem of Svalbard. With their natural hunting instincts, cats pose a significant threat to local bird species that are already struggling to survive in the harsh conditions of this land. The ecosystem of Svalbard, especially the bird species, is very sensitive to any minor changes. Low temperatures and the Arctic climate create a challenging environment, and the introduction of cats with their excellent hunting abilities could cause severe imbalances. Cats could quickly wipe out native bird species, pushing them to the brink of extinction. The birds here are already accustomed to an environment with few land predators, making them particularly vulnerable to unnatural predators like cats. Therefore, cats are entirely prohibited in Svalbard to ensure that native birds can continue to live and thrive without being threatened by our familiar pets. Not just cats, but the policy regarding pets in Svalbard is very strict. Dogs, although allowed, must also comply with very stringent regulations. For instance, dogs must be fully vaccinated against various diseases, especially rabies, a disease that does not naturally exist on this archipelago. Protecting the archipelago from foreign diseases is a crucial part of efforts to conserve Svalbard's pristine environment. Svalbard is considered one of the places where human intervention in nature is minimal. The pet policies here reflect the importance of environmental conservation. These regulations may make pet lovers, especially cat lovers, feel challenged, but they are necessary to protect the Arctic land and ensure that it remains pristine for centuries to come. Number 5. Horrifying sounds. In Svalbard, sounds can become hair-raising. In winter, when the sun never rises and darkness stretches on for months, the eerie silence of the Arctic can become surreal to the point of being hard to believe. One of the scariest sounds is the howling wind over the ice. The wind in Svalbard not only carries bone-chilling cold but also creates sounds like ghostly whispers in the air. The wind can weave through crevices, making it sound as though someone is whispering or moaning right next to you. Then there's the cracking of drifting ice, a powerful yet mysterious sound. As massive ice blocks slowly shift under the pressure of the glacial ice, they can crack, producing deep, eerie sounds akin to the roar of a giant creature lurking beneath the earth. In a vast, desolate land filled with the unexplored, the sound of cracking ice can create a sense of unease in anyone, even the most seasoned explorers. Polar bears, the predators unafraid of the dark, also add to the eeriness of Svalbard. From a distance, visitors can hear the roar of these powerful animals echoing in the darkness. While polar bears rarely appear near populated areas, their roars, especially in absolute silence, can send chills down anyone's spine. But perhaps the scariest sounds are the soft, inexplicable noises in the darkness of Svalbard. Many visitors and even residents have reported hearing faint footsteps approaching, only to turn around and find no one around. These footsteps can be very light, as if someone is trying to move without attracting attention, leaving the listener feeling both curious and fearful. Some believe these sounds are the ghosts of lost souls from previous ill-fated expeditions. The history of Svalbard records numerous accidents and tragedies that have occurred in this desolate land. Many explorers, miners, and fishermen have perished in the harsh cold, buried beneath layers of frost and white snow. Though not everyone believes in stories of spirits and ghosts, it's hard to deny that the haunting backdrop of Svalbard fuels people's imaginations like never before. Number 4. No visa required to live. One of the most attractive aspects of Svalbard is that you can move there to live and work without needing a visa or residence permit. That's right, you don't have to go through the complicated administrative procedures that come with relocating to other parts of the world. It sounds like a paradise for those who love freedom, doesn't it? However, the reality is not quite that simple. This situation stems from the Svalbard Treaty of 1920, when Norway and 49 other countries signed an important agreement that made Svalbard a demilitarized and free zone. This means that any citizen from the countries that signed the treaty has the right to move, live, and work in their Svalbard without encountering legal barriers. This is one of the reasons why this archipelago attracts many explorers, scientists, and those seeking a new life. But there is one important condition: you must be able to support your living expenses, and more importantly, you need to have the ability to survive in the harsh climate of this Arctic region. It may sound easy, but it's not really so. Living in Svalbard is not an experience for everyone. With winters lasting for months without sunlight and temperatures plummeting to terrifying lows, life here requires a high level of resilience and adaptability. The cost of living in Svalbard is also not low. All kinds of goods, from food and clothing to daily necessities, must be transported from the mainland, which increases the price of everything. Even buying a cup of coffee in Longyearbyen, the largest town in the archipelago, can cost you more than in other major cities in Norway. Therefore, before deciding to move here, you need to carefully consider your personal finances and be prepared to face significant challenges. Jobs in Svalbard are also not as diverse as in other regions. Most employment opportunities are concentrated in 3 main sectors: mining, tourism, and scientific research. If you don't have specialized skills in these fields, finding a job will be quite difficult. Particularly in the field of scientific research, many scientists come from around the world to study natural phenomena such as climate change, Arctic ecosystems, and even to monitor glacier melt. This makes Svalbard an ideal destination for science enthusiasts, but it also requires extensive knowledge and experience. Tourism is also an important part of Svalbard's economy. Tourists come here primarily to admire the breathtaking Arctic scenery, participate in expeditions, and experience life in one of the wildest places on Earth. However, due to the harsh climate conditions and the isolation of the archipelago, tourism here does not develop as it does in other places, and only a limited number of tourists are allowed to participate in journeys. Number 3. No need to lock your door. Svalbard, despite being a cold and remote land, is considered one of the safest places on Earth. With a small population of about 3,000 people, the community here is incredibly close-knit and most people know each other. This familiarity helps to prevent criminal behavior. Interestingly, many homes in Svalbard often do not lock their doors. Here it is quite normal not to lock the door, especially in Longyearbyen, the largest town in Svalbard. People often leave their doors open to allow others to easily take shelter if they are in danger, such as being threatened by polar bears. This reflects mutual trust within the community and a spirit of helping one another when needed. Despite living in a challenging natural environment, crime in Svalbard seems to be very rare. However, this does not mean that Svalbard is completely immune to crime. In 2018, Longyearbyen witnessed a rare event when the first bank robbery in Svalbard's history occurred. A robber attempted to hold up a bank with a gun, something that had never happened before. But surprisingly, the robbery was resolved quickly, and the perpetrator was arrested in a short time. He was subsequently taken back to mainland Norway to face legal action, as Svalbard does not have a prison or court system. This robbery shocked the community, not because of the danger of the incident, but because crime in Svalbard is virtually unheard of. This is a rare example showing that even places considered the safest in the world can face unexpected incidents. Although the 2018 event was an exception, life in Svalbard remains very peaceful and safe overall. Number 2. The Kingdom of Glaciers. If you are an adventure seeker, Svalbard will not disappoint you. Known as the Kingdom of Glaciers, it is home to more than 2,000 massive glaciers, including Østfondet, one of the largest glaciers, covering over 8,000 square kilometers. You can walk across glaciers, kayak among floating icebergs, or even climb ancient ice walls in ice climbing activities. But it's not just about breathtaking views. The glaciers in Svalbard are also considered invaluable scientific treasures. These ice blocks have preserved information about the Earth's climate for thousands of years. The ice layers contain atmospheric particles, dust, and chemicals from different periods, helping scientists study climate change over time. By drilling deep into the ice layers and taking core samples, researchers can track climate fluctuations in the past and predict what may happen in the future. This is extremely important in the context of current climate change, where ice is melting rapidly and sea levels are rising. Svalbard, with its strategic location, has become one of the leading places for climate change research. By monitoring the state of the glaciers, scientists can learn more about how the Earth reacts to environmental changes and make forecasts for the future. Not only do these glaciers play a crucial role in climate research, but they also help protect the Arctic ecosystem. They provide fresh water to the Arctic seas, sustaining habitats for many species such as whales, seals, and polar bears. Protecting these glaciers is not only about preserving a part of the Earth's history, but also about safeguarding the future of the global ecosystem. Number 1. The town of Ny-Ålesund. Ny-Ålesund, one of the most remote and isolated places on the planet, is a special scientific research station located at latitude 78 degrees 56 minutes north, near the Arctic. It is one of the farthest scientific research points on Earth, and although not densely populated, Ny-Ålesund is still considered an important research center for many countries. Today, Ny-Ålesund is home to about 35 scientists and research staff year-round. In the summer, this number can rise to 150 as researchers and tourists flock to witness fascinating Arctic phenomena firsthand. Although this area is now mainly reserved for scientific research, Ny-Ålesund was once a bustling coal mining town in the early 20th century. As the coal mining industry gradually declined, Ny-Ålesund transformed into an international scientific research center. One of the most notable historical events in Ny-Ålesund was when it served as the departure point for the Arctic expedition of the great explorer Roald Amundsen in 1926. This expedition became a part of history as Amundsen and his team undertook a memorable journey to the North Pole, becoming one of the greatest expeditions in the world. Since then, Ny-Ålesund has left its mark not only as a scientific research site but also as a part of human exploration history. Another interesting fact is that Ny-Ålesund is known as an area without radio waves. This means that devices such as mobile phones, radios, and other broadcasting equipment do not work here. The main reason for this is to protect the sensitive scientific instruments being used at the research station. Equipment like radiation detectors, climate sensors, and other data collection systems require an environment free of electromagnetic waves to ensure the most accurate results. This creates a complete sense of isolation from the outside world, adding to the mystery and wonder of this land. If you are an adventure lover who isn't afraid to face mysteries, Svalbard will certainly be a challenging destination that promises unforgettable experiences. Thank you for watching today's video about the mysterious and challenging land of Svalbard. If you're interested in exploring this area, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next exciting videos. Please leave a comment below about a location or topic you would like us to explore in the future. Don't forget to share this video with your adventure-loving friends. Thank you and see you in the next videos.